there were challenges, but I remember loving it. Like, I actually miss moving and meeting new people and, like, you know, the excitement of waking up early for a road trip or something like that. I've always felt really grateful for the experience that I had growing up the way that I did. Um, and like I always tell people, it actually feels strange to me to stay in a place too long. Like I'll look at the calendar, look at my watch, and I'm like, isn't it? I should be moving. Like it's time to go. Why am I still
Yeah.
here? Type of thing, you know. The longest place I had been was when we moved back to Georgia for high school for me. And prior to that, like I had never been in a place for like longer than, I don't know, like 2 years or something like that, and it was strange because I usually am like so used to preparing like to say goodbye to people, or or like or even just being around other people who are moving so often. um
Yeah.
but at the time, I was we weren't on base, like, so I was going to civilian high school, and um it was strange for me to realize like maybe I should start to settle in and make some like lasting connections with people, you know.
Yeah.
um but yeah, I remember um really appreciating the location of Germany because my family and I, you know, we're, because of like the way Germany is situated, you can travel to like all these other countries, and it's not long, it's not hard, it's not a hard drive or
Right.
anything like that. So I remember we traveled so much, and like we got to try all these different foods, and like just I love eating. Like I love
Everyone does.
I know, like, but like when it comes to traveling, like, I'll sightsee. Like, I can appreciate beauty, but if I have to like pick one thing, it would be like eating my way through the world. Like,
Yes.
I don't need to go on like excursions or go to museums. I will learn through the food. But that's what I got to do a lot of, like, because we lived in Germany, and we went to like Paris and Prague and Turkey and all these
Yeah.
places, and like we went on maybe at least one cruise throughout Europe. I think that was my first cruise in my life, and like I just remember just feeling so grateful and like fancy, and like it was great. Especially I always think about how my parents had me when they were like 17, 18. Like my life could have been a lot different if it weren't for the military.
Right.
And that's really why they joined, because they just wanted to provide for me and later my other siblings. So, but yeah, you couldn't no one could tell me anything. Like I felt like I was living life, like growing
You're
up. And
royalty.
yeah, like I enjoyed myself as a military brat, and like I still, like, I take so much pride and joy in like calling myself that, or like
Yeah.
feeling,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
definitely, it sounds like a derogatory term saying
Yeah,
military brat,
right.
but it's like a badge of honor.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel. It's like, it's a little club, and my
Yeah.
mom has to remind me just how little of the population can call themselves that.
Yeah.
Um, I don't even, I don't know the numbers, but when she reminds me, I'm like, whoa, like, and I guess I can, just thinking about being back on campus, and how I think I met one person whose mom was in the service, but it wasn't like a big part of her life, and she doesn't call herself a military brat, like, so you don't even like meet people who get that culture.
Yeah. And even when you meet someone who's a military brat, it's like you don't even talk about that at first. And
Hmm.
it may be months or years until you realize that you have that in common.
Yeah, especially, if you're not, when you're like outside of the space of being on base and different things like that, it becomes like I think a secondary thing for a lot of people. Because like even me, like I've learned that people just don't know what it is or what it means.
Yeah.
Um, so it was really nice to be around people back in DC and to meet you and your family and
Yes.
like how just the I don't even know how many times we've said military brat just in this short span that we've talked this long,
Yeah.
but I like it and I like miss, referring to myself in that way, you know?
Yeah. And
Yeah, so, senior year in high school, I was applying to a lot of scholarships. I think a lot of them were for like state schools, and I just knew that that wasn't for me. Um,
yeah.
but I was having a hard time finding like other significant scholarships, and I don't know if my mom's really good at research. I don't know if she found out about it or if someone told her about it, but she told me to apply to NGS, and um, I had never heard of NGS at that time either, actually. But I read about what they did and everything, and it sounded like, oh, this is exactly like what I was looking for, like what I
Yeah.
needed, like um, like an organization that understands um, like the behind the scenes of a transcript. Like, not that I always had, like top grades and whatever, but I wanted to be a part of. I wanted to be understood beyond my academics, um, and the main way to do that, I think, was to be able to understand what it was like growing up the way that I did. Um, and I know you probably heard me say a few things about it in DC, but I was worried that I just wasn't going to get accepted um,
Right.
for the NGS scholarship, um, because my I haven't I'm very grateful and lucky to have all of my parents in my life still, um, and they don't have like extreme physical you know issues that are left over from their service, um, and so I wondered like I wondered because I think at the time NGS, like their scholarship, it was focused on students or children of like who have like lost their parents,
Right.
or whose parents have like significant um, like health issues from their service, and my parents have PTSD and like other connecting mental health issues, but it's nothing, not nothing. It's not the physical,
Yeah.
and they're still here, and I definitely don't want to like underplay the mental health aspect of like what it means to serve, um, and I do think that it's important, but at the time I just remember being so like worried, like that the scholarship wasn't for me, or that I might take it from someone else who like needs more help, you know.
Right.
um but I was ecstatic to hear that, like, I they awarded me with the scholarship, um and they've been at first, before Kelly joined on, Rebecca was like my point of contact, so we've been emailing like all 4 years of my time at Dartmouth, which has been wild because she's been with me through a lot of ups and downs, and I haven't met her until I graduated, until we were in DC. So that was weird.
yeah.
But it's been nice to see that they how much they care about the other, like the underbellies, like the hidden side of um a lot of the issues that service members deal with,
Yeah.
um because I know from my experience just how much that has affected my home life, their mental health, just how much that has affected my home life and the way that I grew up. you know, like I said, it was great, and I wouldn't change anything. I don't think, because I'm asked that a lot. Like, oh, if you could change anything, or if you could grow up like normal, would you do it? And I don't think that I would. It was
No.
difficult, But no, I don't think that I
It
would.
makes kids like resilient and it makes us who we
Exactly.
are. Like if we